Cowabunga, dudes! It's the #1 Sigma Riz Master, Collin, coming at you today with an all-new video. Today, we'll be talking about beta diets. Here at the Tye-Dyed Iguana, we like to offer our betas several different food options in captivity. In captivity, of course, there's less variety than their wild counterparts, so it's up to us as keepers to decide and dictate what the diet consists of. Here at the Tye-Dyed Iguana, we recommend a variety of foods. So for our staple diet item, we recommend using a high-quality pellet. So I have here the Betta Buffet pellet. This is a product made by Omega 1. It's a very high-quality, dry staple pellet. Now, as far as the protein breakdown on this, it's going to be specifically catered for beta splendens needs. People often ask, how much do I feed when it comes to pellets? With the beta fish, we recommend feeding 1 time per day. And as far as pellets are concerned, I recommend feeding an amount that's as big as the beta's eye. So if you're saying, Collin, how many pellets is that? Usually for most betas, that ends up being about 3 to 5 pellets once per day. Now, this is our staple item, a high quality pellet. Our second category of items would be freeze-dried foods. So I like to feed these as a treat. So these are freeze-dried bloodworms. You can also do freeze-dried tubifex or mysis. These can be fed as a treat. I like to do these once to twice a week as far as a supplemental feeding option. They can be a little bit higher in fat and some other things. So I like to be a little bit lighter-handed on these products. So again, these are more of a treat in the overall diet. Our next category would be frozen foods. Frozen foods are great. They are, of course, can be a little bit messy and can contribute to having to do water changes more frequently and things like that. But as far as frozen beta foods, as a treat, me personally, I like to go with bloodworms. Bloodworms you can do about once or twice per week. Basically with these guys, I would take about half a cube, or some people will dissolve the cubes in water beforehand, and then they can individually actually like tong feed or throw like several individual bloodworms in there to the betta. So these are a great option. As far as a natural like foraging behavior, I also like the frozen brine shrimp. These are a cube as well, so you can pop a cube in your tank, depending on your gallon amount, and the beta will nip at these as well, and this can be a great option as well. As far as filling out the diet and mixing up a variety of foods, of course, if you have a beta and you're only feeding it pellets, it's kind of a boring life, and it's our obligation as keepers to give these guys the best quality care as possible. So for that reason, having variety of the diet is especially important. The other thing I would say as far as beta feeding would be super critical is they're very prone to overfeeding. So most fish tend to be opportunistic. They'll eat anytime you give them food. However, it's up to you as a keeper to regulate how much food they're consuming. Of course, we know betas can be a little bit sedentary sometimes. They're not the world's most active fish. So especially in captivity, they can be prone to excessive feeding, or like sometimes even bloat in severe cases, depending on the type of food that's being offered. In general, I recommend you can feed every day. Just remember, portion control is paramount in this effort. So just remember, don't feed them an insane amount. If you notice there's lots of uneaten food scraps in the bottom of the tank, things like that, it's probably a good indication that he's overfeeding. Some manufacturers will indicate try to feed the beta as much as it can eat in 10 minutes. However, I like to do a little bit more of a portion control, anywhere that 3 to 5 pellet of your staple pellet, and then you can do treats, 2 to 3 times per week, just to give them a more rounded nutritional profile. These guys will also eat different live foods, so if you can ever get across or come across like 1/8-inch crickets or pinhead crickets, and you want to throw a couple of those in the surface of the water, those can be great. These guys will even pick off, like if you can get springtails that are clean and they're not like contaminated with like some substrate and stuff, these guys will actually eat springtails off the surface of the water as well. So you can do live foods. Some people like to culture their own live brine shrimp and different blackworms and things like that as a treat. That might be a little bit labor intensive if you're only feeding a couple of fish, but they certainly will eat live foods as well. One thing I do want to caution you on though, if you're doing a lot of live foods, just keep in mind, the quality of the source. And the second thing would be they can get kind of stuck on live foods. So you want to make sure live foods are just an addition to a part of a more complete diet. If you have any questions about beta diets, be sure to drop us a line online or see us in store. Have a great day.